what is the definition of success? For some people, it's to make the most amount of money. And for others, it's to become famous. And for some, including myself, is to leave a legacy. For me, it's to create something unique and inspire many generations to do the same. And if the first two come into play, great. But if I don't look at the bigger picture, the definition of success would be setting up a goal and achieving it. And as long as we keep achieving our goals, we should consider ourselves successful. I'm Olga K, and some people know me as a former circus performer, others as a YouTube personality, and some as a founder of Moosh Walks. What are Moosh Walks? It's a line of socks with ears and wings that give your feet personality. I wanted to create something that felt alive and told a story and gave the young girls the ability to stand out. 2015 was the year where I've decided to sacrifice everything to build my brand. And I'm proud to say that today, Moosh Walks are in 25 stores across America. They're part of Amazon Exclusives, the program at Amazon where they handpick unique products and feature them in a special marketplace. We were selected by thegrommet.com, and we were approached to possibly appear on QVC in 2017. The articles about Moosh Walks were written in Inc., Entrepreneur Magazine, and Forbes. 2016 has been the most amazing year for my brand, where I've set up so many goals and I've accomplished most of them. But at the same time, 2016 has been the year where I would wake up every morning terrified. I am terrified. This has been the scariest and the hardest thing I've ever done, financially and emotionally. So I started thinking, how come successful people never really showcase the road to success? And I think it's because nobody really wants to show a possible failure. Growing up, we're often told that we can't do something, or we should get a real job and don't follow our dreams. So showcasing a possible failure would be almost like submitting to the people that didn't believe in us. But in reality, failure is what propels us to success. A couple of months ago, I was chatting with Josh Felser on Twitter, and in a way, he gave me the permission to start making this series. I've been trying to do this for the last 8 months, and I was just so afraid to showcase my possible failures to the rest of the world and possibly being judged. Josh was talking about how entrepreneurs don't talk enough how hard it is to build something. He also shared a story of him crying once he sold one of his companies, and you guys only saw me cry once over Moosh Walks on this channel.
And don't mind my face, but I was just so happy, and I was in my office and I was unloading, started thinking about all the things that I went through to make this line happen, and all the struggles and all the little things that I had to overcome for this to be here now. If you guys are working on something and it's not going well, or you just get into these roadblocks and you just can't move past it, just stick to it, and because it's so worth it in the end.
And it wasn't the tears of joy or the tears of sadness. It was this place in between. This place where you had to do so much to accomplish your goal. You had to stay positive and strong while being completely terrified. And then finally, you were given the permission to be emotional. So why is this series important to me? For one, I still don't know whether I'm gonna succeed or fail while building my business. So I want to be able to look back and celebrate my accomplishments, but most importantly, learn from my mistakes. I also want to give the permission to every entrepreneur out there to talk about the good and the bad while building a business. But more than anything, I want to inspire young girls everywhere to follow their dreams, regardless of how many people tell you that you can't do it or that you're not good enough. Or I want to give the confidence to the grown-ass women out there that do have that insecure little girl inside of them telling them that they can't do something. Either way, it's a crazy ride, and I want to know, and I want you to know, that you're not alone. So who am I, and how did I come up with this crazy sock idea, and why do you have to listen to me? You don't. But if I can inspire one person, my job is done. My story goes back to a tiny, tiny village in Crimea, Russia. The village was so small that it was almost impossible to find it on the map. Once I finally found it, I realized how far I have come to be where I am today. Growing up in Russia, my family was very poor. I remember my parents were not getting paid for 2 or 3 years, and instead of salary, they would get bags of grass. Then we would take that grass and feed it to our cows and produce loads of dairy products. We'll have some food for ourselves, and the excess of dairy we would either sell or just exchange with other neighbors on the produce that we were lacking. If I had to compare my upbringings to something that is relatable, it would be American farming lifestyle in 1930s. Only for me it was 80s and 90s. I remember I would wear the same pairs of shoes for many seasons. If my shoe were too big, we would stuff it up with newspaper. If it was too small, we would stretch it out so I can wear it for a little longer. Finally, when my shoe would wear out, my dad would find pieces of rubber and just glue it on the bottom of the shoe so I can wear it for a little longer. So needless to say, I never really had the latest trends. I would always wear whatever was available. I didn't even own a pair of jeans until I was 17. Even though my upbringings were really hard as a young girl growing up in a village, I'm very thankful because it made me realize how happy and lucky I am for everything that I have today. So the only dream I had as a little girl is to become a circus performer. And luckily, and I do say luckily, at 14 years old, my family became so broke and the conditions in the village became so harsh where our electricity would be turned off from 5 p.m. till 5 a.m. And oftentimes I would do my homework over a homemade candle, which was a cup of olive oil and a piece of gauze that I would burn. So pretty much we had to pack up and run away with the circus. When I ended up in the circus, I realized that I was too old to become a performer because at 14 you already have an act and you're traveling the world. So I thought to myself, if I work twice as hard as everyone else, maybe I can achieve my dreams. So I became a juggler. At 16 years old, I came to America, the land of opportunity, to perform with Ringling Brothers Circus. I didn't speak English and I didn't have friends here, and the biggest frustration as a foreigner is to come to a new country and not being able to communicate. I remember I would sit in my trailer and just study 10 to 20 words a day just so I can have a conversation. When I was 19 years old, I came to Los Angeles, and it was another time of my life where I was struggling a lot. And I remember I would apply for restaurant jobs and they would look at my resume and say, ha, well, you know, this is not the circus, right? So nobody gave me a job. And I think that was the initial first push into entrepreneurship, where I thought, if I can create my own job, and if successful, I can create many more jobs for others. I had a skill as a juggler though, so I ended up auditioning for every single TV show and a commercial in town, and I ended up booking 7 national commercials. And in 2006, I've discovered YouTube, and I saw this platform as a great opportunity to express myself and build a community. So I would spend all of this time trying to turn my new passion into hopefully an everyday job. And if you've been watching me on YouTube for a while, you've seen how the whole journey unfolded. And 2013 was the year where I really wanted to create something that was more than just my online personality. And at around the same time is when the idea for Moosh Walks was born. So how is any of this related to building a business? I don't know. I'm someone who barely finished high school. I've never gone to college, but my background gave me the drive and the need to create unique things and stand out. And the rest is just lots of sleepless nights and Googling everything and making sure to move forward when you fail. And that, in my opinion, is the best education you can get. What is moosh? Moosh comes from my cat, Mooshka. A lot of times in my videos I would say, come here moosh moosh. So when we're looking for this internal word, we said, why don't we use moosh for everything? So we started replacing other words and we would say things like, I moosh you so much, or I love to eat mooshed potatoes, or shut the moosh up. My audience would call themselves mooshers. They would call me their moosh mommy. We started signing off in videos using a moosh face. So we've created this moosh army on the internet. So when I was starting my brand, of course, it had to be moosh something. And because I started with socks, it was Moosh Walks. Now, as a founder of Moosh Walks, I can say I've only executed 1% of my entire vision. And hopefully during this journey, we get to see me execute 100% of all of my ideas. As a startup and somebody who's bootstrapping their business, the only goal we have is not to spend a lot of money and to make as much as possible. And this year my goal was to travel the world and photograph my product. And world traveling requires two things: spending a lot of money and spending a lot of time. And when you're building a business, you don't really have either. So after a long time of thinking, I came up with this idea, which is Moosh Walks Journey project, where I team up with global photographers who will get to capture moosh walks across the globe. So today's shout out goes to Mars from Australia. She was actually part of the project way before it even started. If you want to see more of her work, I'll post the link in the description below. And if you want to discover all of our other photographers, just visit mooshwalks.com. In the next episode, I want to talk about how you can come up with a unique idea and how I came up with mine. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, find me on Twitter at Olga K, and I'll see you guys next time. Moosh! Bye.
Just push through it because it's all possible. It's all here. It's all here, and it's all here, and it's all about how much you're willing to struggle to get somewhere. So I struggled enough, and now I have 60 boxes in my house of socks. This is fake glasses, so I can actually go inside like this and wipe my tears.